Hello, everybody, and welcome to Machtails from the Cantina Live, episode number 39. Tonight's guests include the Mandalorian mashups Sean Darth Hines, Alfie the Filipino Jedi Jimenez, Brother Barry Harmon is here, making us a drink using Chicago's own Malort. And Brother Rich Brendel will be using the chugging side of the Force to demonstrate the power of that and washing it all down. Brother Tyler Page is behind the board as usual. Show producer Ian Savage is here to help us with fact or fiction on tonight's topics. Tonight's topics include Chicago's very own Malort, the risque Empire Strips Back Burlesque show landing in Chicago on May 24th, and the Mandalorian Season 3 as it hits the mid-season mark. I am your show host, Chris Mock, and we are live inside the Wampa Cave. Let the tomfoolery and hijinks begin. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Mocktails from the Cantina Live. We have a great show for you tonight. We are going to start it off with Barry Harmon making a drink from his home bar. But hey, I want to say thank you to the Patreon members that are tuning in. Dale Morris, David Gladding, and Daniel Boston Dan is also tuning in tonight. So thank you guys. Thank you for that, and I could not do it without my producers. You know, before I went live, I actually spilled some beer over my laptop. That is the first time that this has ever happened. So, if things go awry and things kind of frizzle and fry, Brother Tyler Page is going to man the helm with the guests that I have on this show for you tonight. Hey, Patreon support is super important. Because I spent a lot of time doing this show. I could not do it, and I would not do it without the supporters. A good guy named Tin is here. I'm going to draw a name out of the good guy Tin towards the end of the show for a very, very cool MFTC prize. Without further ado, the drinking word of the night. Let's do the drinking word of the night. Just drink. Drink with us. It's Friday. Happy Friday to you. I'm going to bring my first guest on, Barry Harmon. Thank you so much for joining the show. This is your idea because when we were, drink is the word of the night. When we were in Miami last week, you were telling me this story about Malort. And my siblings have been trying to get me to drink Malort for a long time. That is not going to happen on this show. However, I do have a Malort Spritz.
Oh, that's interesting.
And this is made by Gibson. But you know what? Why don't you fill us in with your story and your experience with Chicago's very own Malort?
Well, I feel like I've been branded the Malort guy, and like it's just been a blip on my my drinking history. But a couple months back, we were doing the meetups at the Galloping Ghost. We do those all the time with the RFR Patreon people and like Chicago locals. And I was just hanging out at the bar with Babu Freak Brian and Babu Freak, the other guy, and Tyler. And on the menu, they have the special. It's the Chicago handshake, right? You get a shot of Malort and you get like a local beer. I think it was their. I don't know what it was, but regardless, it was cheap. I ordered it. And Brian was like giving me a look. He's like, why would you order that? And even the bartender himself was like, why are you ordering that? It's like, well, it's on your menu. Honestly, I was just kind of bored. So I thought I'd try something different on the menu. I've had Malort years back, but I haven't had it until that moment, like, 10 years later. It's pretty much like we talked about in Miami. It's just an ingredient that is used. It's wormwood essentially, and that's what Malort means. And it's a crucial ingredient in absinthe. So absinthe is what is it? Anise, and there's another flavor in there, but essentially, yeah, it's these three flavors for absinthe. And this is like an old recipe, but it kind of had a revival in Chicago just because the this guy brought it back. I mean, he was Swedish, and this is a Swedish sort of drink.
Yeah,
And
Jepsen.
yeah, Carl Jepsen. And
Carl
so it's
Jepsen.
like the story with him. People say that he smoked a lot, so he didn't have a strong palate. So he wanted to make something strong. I'm not going to be drinking this straight tonight. I'm actually.
Oh yeah, hey, you know what? Is there any way? Is there any way that I could give you a Star Wars? Hey, is there any way that I could give you a Star Wars action figure for just taking a shot of that by itself?
Oh man. You know what I'll do after I mix my drink? I'll do a shot of it, but I'm going to have to drink the drink to do something to mute it.
Yeah, because brother Rich Brendel is here to help us wash that down.
Oh boy.
You know what? I want to bring on a show producer, Ian Savage.
Let's do it.
He's got. Hopefully, he's got some quotes lined up for us.
Some quotes.
Quotes, yes, quotes. People that have said about Malort. This is a Chicago drink, and people have described this as gasoline. Described it as like say goodbye to your mother-in-law drink.
I like some of the slogans. It was Malort. Tonight's the night you're going to fight your dad. Let's see. Malort, turning taste buds into taste foes for generations. And I like that it's what soap washes its mouth out with.
That's yeah, great. And the funny thing is that it's a Chicago thing. And when I worked for MLB Network, the people from New York came here to do two things. Well, three things. Watch the Cubs play in the World Series, go to the filming location of Shameless, and take a shot of Malort. Look at these Malort faces. I mean, Barry, Barry, I would really love to see your Malort face, but you had this drink for us, and tell us what's in this drink, and is it your own recipe?
No. So I do believe during the pandemic, a lot of Chicago. No, actually, no, I'm wrong. Or maybe I'm right.
You can help us out with the the facts here.
So here it is. So I believe during the pandemic there might have been a resurgence for this drink just because people were getting bored. But this drink, this cocktail actually is from 2009, and basically a bunch of Chicago mixologists like had a little like whoever can make the most drinkable drink with at least 3/4 an ounce of Malort is the winner. And so the one that won is called the Hard Sell from Brad Bolt at Bar DeVille. I guess that's a bar in the city. I did want to interject about quotes about Malort. Someone who's having a big moment right now is Jason Sudeikis with the last season of Ted Lasso. And he said, and I think this might have been in a movie or something, he said, it tastes like a burnt condom filled with gasoline. So
Jesus.
So yeah, there you go. But yeah, so this cocktail, if you want me to make it now, I most definitely can.
We would love to. So we would love to know how this is done, where it's drinkable. Because I'm when you're making that drink, I'm going to crack this open.
Okay.
This actually has similar ingredients than what you have. Oddly enough, this is 4.75, right? So this is a beer, ABV. Malort, the stuff that you're pouring straight, the wormwood concentrate, if you will, what is that percentage-wise?
That's true. Yeah, I didn't even think to ask that.
It's 35% alcohol, 70 proof.
Oh.
Okay, that's pretty strong. This is like a Miller Lite, 4.75. It's actually made with Malort, filtered water, and also lime juice and natural grapefruit flavor. So if I'm not mistaken, you have a grapefruit going on in your drink as well, yes?
So I'll tell you, yes. So what this entails, it's 1 ounce of gin. I like to use Bombay, but you can also use Beefeater. Then you use 1 ounce of Saint Germain, which is said by many to be like the ketchup of cocktails. Like if a cocktail tastes off, you just put this in it. And I think this really helps in muting the flavor of Malort. And then And if you've ever used a jigger, you'd know that this is 1.5 and this is 3/4. So I'm doing 2/3 full for the gin and the Saint Germain in this one, and then I'm going to do a full one of the Malort in that. Actually, I'm going to do the lemon juice first because I don't want Malort on my table. Like I don't want to spill any. So I actually just did some lemon juice beforehand just to save us all some time. And there's no grapefruit really in it, but it has a grapefruit rind kind of flavor at the end. And you can actually express a peel of grapefruit. You know how to do that? You fold it the other way and you just kind of get a little bit of the essence on top.
Yes.
I do not have a grapefruit. I do have grapefruit bitters. So I'm going to put a very, very tiny drop of that. It's not the same, but it'll give like a little bit of that grapefruit flavor. Now I'm doing, okay, so here's the big one. So here's the Malort.
Chicago's very own, brother.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. For a while, it wasn't in Chicago, and then they moved it back.
Yeah, I didn't realize it said it went to Kentucky for a while, then Florida, and then was it 2018? One of your guys' local places bought it back.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so it started here for a long time. Then it obviously left, and then it came back. I don't know, like, are the millennials doing this thing again?
The what?
I said, are the millennials and the hipsters, are they the ones that are making this a thing again? You know?
Yeah, it's all their fault.
Maybe. I mean, I'd like to say yes, but I haven't really seen it trending. Like there hasn't been like a TikTok or something challenge.
Yeah, I think the trend was I feel like 7 years ago there was a little bit of a spike, but it's kind of become like this urban legend, this underground Chicago story.
I think the only time I've heard about it was from you guys. That's why I'm like, when I heard about that for the show, I'm like, that sounds so familiar. And then I'm like, oh, that's the only reason. It's from you all living there. But it sounds absolutely disgusting. And that was one of my favorite facts, was that it was the only thing he could basically taste because his tongue was ruined.
I'm going to mute my mic
so you can relate to that.
I'm going to mute my mic because the ice is going to be pretty loud when I shake it.
Oh, no, we want to hear the ice shake. We want to hear that ice shake. You know, it's funny. I feel like we need a bartender inside the Wampa Cave every time.
Here, I'll give you one shake.
You know?
Here.
There you go. Yeah, we got it.
You need to cut to somebody just over in the corner of the basement waving, sitting behind the bar.
Yeah, exactly. So I just poured mine. Mine looks like grapefruit juice, and
here we go.
A wine.
You see,
I got some Folgers tonight.
Folgers and Malort.
Yeah.
All right.
It's gonna be a late night, my friends.
As promised, I will do a little 3/4 ounce shot of it.
Here we go.
Before I drink that.
Drum roll.
Yeah, and I will say too, if you're doing cocktails, put the ice in last, because sometimes you might forget something, or it might take a long time. You might get wrapped up in a conversation with someone, and then it waters down your drink. So do the ice last. Little tip. So here we go. So I will do the baby shot.
Pinky's out.
I will say that's probably the fourth. That's probably the fourth one I've ever had. That's the one that tasted the most medicinal. Like and maybe it was COVID. I mean, maybe I didn't have the taste that I have now.
Well, they branded it as medicinal alcohol, right? That's how they skipped out on Prohibition.
Yeah. I mean, it tastes very medicinal. I'm going to drink this to mute that. See, now this is very good. And what this does is it takes kind of the after taste of Malort, which kind of dries your mouth out. And it when you mix it with all the other stuff, it gives it like a grapefruit rind kind of taste. So it's very good. I mean, but it's the hard sell, of course.
Yeah, how much you pay for a bottle on that?
Not much. Not much. I can't say off the top of my head, but it's got to be like around $20 or something. It's
okay.
Not much.
So I paid $18 for a 4-pack of this, and to tell you the truth, it's okay. I did it. I bought it for the show because I had to drink something. So I'm such a pussy. I could not just drink straight Malort on the show. I know my siblings are very, very disappointed, but this is actually rated 92 points by the National Beverage Institute. 92 points is kind of high. I feel like I'm tasting grapefruit. If it was like 20% more, it'd be a little bit more worth my while. But for 4.7%, it's not that much. Hey, Barry, I owe you an action figure. And I know you're going to do some art for me for ICC Con, so I'll throw that into the mix.
Sounds good.
Hey, thanks for joining the show, brother. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. Always. And remember, you can always check out Barry on SegaBits.com, and he's part of the RFR Patreon Babu Freaks segment as well. But I have a friend that's going to help us really wash it down. This is going to be kind of like a virtual Chicago handshake. It's not going to be an old style, as Brother Dale had recommended, but it's suggested because that is a true Chicago handshake. Rich, if you were here right now and you had a shot of Malort, what do you have in your hand? And when was the first time you did a chug?
The first time I did a chug was, I actually remember it. It was in Rapid City, South Dakota, back years and years ago at a pizza/beer place called Boston's.
Boston Hands.
Yeah. By the way, do you see like my little title there?
Oh Jesus!
RFR is just smooth. It's all over Machtails tonight.
I had to do that just because
it's a virus tonight.
It's because of what you were saying earlier.
I'm getting fished. So, hey, Rich, before you drink things, I'm going to have that as a finale. I have another question for you. When was the first time that you realized that chugging was your talent? This is kind of like Mocktails from the Cantina's Got Talent here, right now.
Yeah. Not until we started doing the Beer Boys chat.
The Beer Boys chat. That was the first time.
That was when I started chugging on that and everybody was impressed. I'm like, okay, I guess that's my thing.
and it wasn't your first rodeo. How many chugs can you do in a row?
I've done two. I've done two before. And actually, the other night, on St. Patty's Day, on St. Patty's Day, I actually poured 2 cans into one of the big Oktoberfest
all the Steins
Steins. I poured 2
what are these babies right here?
Irish red ales into it together, and
it's a mix.
You said Prost. All right, brother. So what do you got? Let's see you. Let's see you with your talent here.
Ziggy zaggy.
I'm going traditional with a Wisconsin original Miller Lite tonight. So,
hey, that's the Wisconsin handshake.
Exactly. I was thinking about actually putting a shot of brandy in it too to make it, and we could call that the Wisconsin handshake, but maybe some other time.
Hey, the next episode, Mocktails number 40.
Yeah. Or we'll call that the Midwest goodbye or something. Or Miller Lite with a shot of Malort. That would be the Midwest goodbye. But all right, you ready?
Yeah,
all
cheers,
right.
brother.
All right.
Chug. Now smash it on your head.
You know what? We need to bring you around to all the college frat houses in the Midwest and put those motherfuckers to shame.
Yeah.
No, and you know what, Amram? Your odds, never tell me the odds. I have a feeling Brother Rich Brendel does not puke, especially when he does those chugs. All right, Rich, hey, thanks again for joining the show, man. I appreciate
no problem, man.
And I appreciate your Patreon support. I'm going to see you next weekend, man.
Yeah.
All right, take care, brother. All right, hey, we got some things to talk about. Ian, when you were doing some research on Malort, did you find an interesting fact that popped out that Barry didn't mention on the show?
No, Barry was pretty studious there with his knowledge. He blew me away. But yeah, I love the fact that it was probably just the most obscene thing this guy could drink to actually taste it. But so I guess some trivia is for a guy like me. What's that?
I thought of you because I know you were a smoker, and I'm like,
yeah, exactly. I'm like, his taste buds were ravaged by tobacco. That's what they said. I'm like, man, that's a lot of cigarette smoke. But they say everybody thought that the flag was a typo or a misprint because it has 3 stars. I didn't know because I'm not from the area and not like I'm memorizing you guys' flag, but I guess that was before the 4th star was actually added. Do you know anything about this being from Chicago? Because I don't.
Chicago Star, yeah. They thought that it was a misprint, but the Malort was created so long ago that it was before Chicago had the 4th star. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm reading it.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize wormwood was. They said it like kill parasites and stomach bugs and stuff like that. I didn't know that's what they thought they could do with it. But
there's gotta be some health benefits to that.
Well, that's like I said, that's how they got through. What was it? Prohibition was calling it medical alcohol or medicinal alcohol. So
yes, I could see that. Yes, I could see them passing that through prohibition for medical use. Use for sure. Hey, we are going to talk about something right now. We got a couple of guests to chime in on this. We are going to talk about. Let me bring the guests on the show. We have brother Sean Hines. We have Alfie Jimenez. Alfie looks like he's in his car right now. Alfie, are you at a restaurant with your family right now?
I'm getting some beef jack. Thank you.
Some beef. Okay, you got some Portillo's.
Right on time.
Is it a Chicago? He's live through the drive-thru, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, he's not drinking Malort, but getting some Chicago.
Hey, do it kind of look like The Exorcist?
It's like one of those Sonic commercials.
You know, remember when The Exorcist possessed, what's her name? Reagan?
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk to you guys about the Empire Strips Back, and I am going to bring a show because I love my show producers, each and every one of them. Antonio is a show producer as well from New Jersey. He produces a wonderful music segment called The Lineage on the Machtails from the Cantina Patreon podcast episode. I want to share this moment with you guys talking about something that is very new to the Chicago area. And Antonio, I know you're the outsider. Ian, you're Midwest, so you kind of count for this. But there's this show landing in Chicago called The Empire Strips Back. Have you guys heard about this?
I have.
Yeah, I heard about it. I knew. I remember hearing about it years ago.
Sean, you're stuttering, Sean, as you're looking at these images.
Well, it's very distracting. Let's just be honest here. But yeah, I remember when the show was around, I don't know how many years ago, seeing a couple things pop up. But then, man, as soon as it started coming around again, I think our buddy Keith shared the link to us. And I swear to God, every other post on Facebook now is an ad for this stupid thing.
Yeah, you know what? I will say that, and Ian, you're the fact or fiction guy. I will say that Star Wars and Burlesque has been around for a long, long time. What year does it date back to, Ian?
I mean, at least in America, it was late 1860s. Yeah, late 1860s. And slowly evolved to feature what is ribald comedy and female nudity. But so originally, it was the Victorian leg shows. And, you know, it was basically burlesque didn't mean what we think today. It was more just comedy and parody.
Yeah, and I do want to say that burlesque, to put it in layman's terms too, burlesque is definitely different than like going to the strip joint.
Well, that's one of the things you gotta make clear. It's not like going to a strip club because it's like burlesque, but in and amongst itself is like the art of the tease. You know, so it's not
art of the tease. Yes.
It's not what you're gonna get. It's like, you know, you see the old pictures of the girl from Paris with the big giant thing of feathers covering herself up doing the dance, but you never really see anything. It's all about the tease.
Yeah, and you know, the funny thing is that I do not like mixing like the Star Wars porno that came out, which I swear to God I never saw. I think that is so blasphemous. And to me, what these guys are doing, I feel like this is a fan-made production. It's highly produced. You can see the costumes are highly, maybe they consulted with the 501st to get this right, because this is not pornography. This is art.
There was
some people might consider. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. No, I was going to say, I think it was in that video that you're one of the videos you're showing there in the background, but they speak about, they didn't say who, but they said they had people that worked on the films, since they're in Australia. So they probably had some people from that region, because there was a heavy Australian presence for the prequels, right?
Oh yeah. The studio was over there.
Yeah, so that's they said they had people, since they're based in Australia, they had folks from, I'm guessing, the prequels that helped them actually make some of these things.
So in my opinion, I want to say that this is done in a very, very tasteful way, and anybody that would be offended by this or think this is humorous, I think they really need to take a step back and look at the big picture. Like you said, Sean, it's the art of the tease. You might almost want to say that women are controlling this situation.
Okay, well, I mean, let's be real, guys. Who are we trying to kid? They're always in control. Come on. Especially in scenarios.
That's no lie.
Especially in scenarios like this, you think you're going on a show and you have any kind of control over yourself? Okay, just keep telling yourself that. Boy,
Now, Alfie, I do want to ask you, Alfie, is this something that you are going to attend? Is this something that you would tell your wife you're going to go to? Is this something that you would bring your wife with you?
Oh,
he froze up.
He's pleading the fifth on this one. She froze him in carbonite.
I will
and Antonio
plead the fifth on this. Sean, I'm going to spin that question right to you, brother.
Oh, were you trying to get a brother killed here? I mean, as a Star Wars fan, I'm obviously curious. As a married man, I don't want to end up in the doghouse. But it's not like Lisa's that prudish about this whole sort of stuff, But she did. I will tell you this much. About 10 minutes before coming on the show, she had one bit of advice for me when it came to talking about the Burlesque show, and that was, don't you be promoting it.
But and here we are.
I was like, what? You don't want to go with me? She's like, and then she had to go. That was the end of that conversation.
It's research for the Mandalorian mashups.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. As a guy, as a fan of Star Wars, and as a fan of mashups, I am very curious to see it. Whether or not I will show up, I'll either confirm or deny if that ever happens.
I think Tyler's got a photo of one of the Boba Fett's in the show. And speaking about Boba Fett, I always remind myself that Bo would have loved to see this. Bo actually wanted me.
But is it Boba Fett or is it Booba Fett?
It's Boba Fettish.
Oh.
Boba Fettish. And the crazy thing is that Bo he wanted me to film some of a Real Fans episode at a Star Wars Burlesque show. So this is not the first Star Wars Burlesque show hitting Chicago. I do want to say, from somebody that has a strong marketing background and a promotional whore like myself, these guys, yes, they want you to buy the tickets. Ian, how much are the tickets for this thing? And the show drops on my anniversary, May 24th. I will not be spending my anniversary at the Star Wars Burlesque show, by the way.
I'm going to take a wild guess to say that the tickets are $69.
Yeah, so it's May 21st through like basically all of August, but you can get it if you got anywhere from Zone B for $39, Zone A for how much, Sean?
$69, dude.
Yeah, and balcony for $39. So you can either spend $40 or $70 depending on where you want to sit.
All right, so Sean, are you going to bring Lisa to this thing, or are you going to go solo with Alfie and kind of sneak out the door and keep it off record?
I'll tell you what. If I were to decide to go with this with Alfie and Keith, if I brought Lisa with me, I'd probably be in big trouble with Alfie and Keith for that, just for that.
Yeah, Chris, I'm going to ask the burlesque girls if I can smell that armor when they take it off. You know what I mean?
Oh, Jesus.
Hey, let me smell the bottom part. I got to check for leakage.
You don't want to check for some salacious crumbs.
I just want to make sure they smell bad on the outside, not on the inside.
Jesus Christ.
So, Alfie, I take it you're not bringing Grace.
No.
So are you now? Is this something that's going to be to remain off record, or is this? Does the missus care that you go see this, or she doesn't follow?
She may not care. She knows how I behave at the bachelor parties, Sean, and I'm a good boy, kind of.
Kind of. Well, yeah. Unless you buy the VIP to Ian Savage, how much is a VIP meet and greet for this show?
I don't know. Do they have a VIP package? I didn't see that on there.
If they were smart,
VIP admission. They do. Let's see. We can go all the way up to 104. So you can get it for $75 or $105, depending on what you want to spend.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Well, let me. Now, Antonio, how do you feel about this? Where do you stand with this? Now, it's not happening. Now, is this something that you would attend? Would you bring your wife?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I would attend it for the spectacle alone. I think I saw a picture there of Chewbacca with a guitar surrounded by a bunch of stormtrooper strippers. I mean, that seems like a lot of fun.
You want to get a nice close look at that Wookiee pelt? I know.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, come on. I want
just like it used to be in the 70s.
All natural. I like a lady with a little bit of hair.
70s. Harry Star Story, Harry 70s, right?
So I think the one thing about this,
they're not like actual strip shows. They're not like going to a strip club, right? Like you guys were saying, like
right, exactly.
It's not the same thing. This is more like it's
a performance
with boobies.
Yeah, very much performance art.
Well, hey, Sean, you got to get her in the Mandos.
Yeah, right.
With those flamethrowers, man.
Are they going commando in that Emperor Guard costume?
I think the cool thing about this is it has something for everybody. I've only been to a strip club twice. Once for my friend's bachelor party, and then once when I was on the road promoting something, and I was promoting the new Batman film, and my sound guy for The Force Among Us was with me, and he said, "You don't talk to the strippers." Well, this is obviously a different kind of show because this is obviously more about the art and about the tease. It's not about a lap dance. And I think this is something that you could bring your significant other to,
You probably could. I think it's on the surface, as a whole, it's pretty harmless. For the wives to be upset, it's kind of funny. It's almost like insinuating, like, what, do you think I got a shot with any one of these women? Come on now.
Well, it's almost a little taboo, right? Because you start seeing this, your mind starts going, to like the Star Wars porn, if you will. And
are you sure you haven't seen this, Chris?
I have not seen it. I have
a lot of detail about that Star Wars porno that he's never seen.
We can all turn our cameras off. This can be a confessional booth.
Yeah, he's never seen it, but won't stop talking about it. I know.
Yeah. They do have the production quality on this is amazing. Liz sent me a link. We actually got a quaint one here in Cleveland, Star Wars Burlesque, the return of the tease that's going on locally here. And that's more of it's not the costumes, it's themed garb that's in the style, style of Star Wars.
I want to know too, if Boston Dan is tuning in live, obviously, I wonder if he brought Mia. Dan, did you bring Mia to these burlesque shows? The funny thing is, I asked my wife, I'm like, Star Wars Burlesque, yay or nay? And she's like, I would bring my wife to this for sure, And then you go home. It's a date night. It's a date night affair here, I
guess you could say it's kind of like when I take Lisa to get a photo or meet and greet with Chris Hemsworth. I know that he gets her all hot and bothered. I just want to be there when it happens.
Well, you know what they say? You can get your appetizer out. Just make sure you eat the main course at home.
Amen to that. There you
go. I'm pro monogamy, but when we start talking about burlesques and Star Wars porn and all that kind of shit, you have to kind of look at the big picture here, and it's something that I think a lot of people might look at as taboo. Now, for you laymen's out there that are wondering, how can they get away with this? Isn't Disney going to sue them? Well, one of the first classes that I ever took in the entertainment business was you can get away with parody.
Yeah, parody.
That's exactly what this is. This is a Star Wars burlesque parody. Disney does not need to bother these guys because I'm sure the Empire Strips Back has lawyers. Now, before we move on to the next subject, I do want to ask my brother Tyler Page what he feels about this. Tyler, you got tickets yet for this? Or what?
I don't have tickets. I'll get them, though. I'll figure it out. Oh, I'll go. Yeah, I got no problem with it.
What are you looking forward to most seeing in The Empire Strips Back?
The talent. What do you want me to say? I only read it for the articles. No. What do you think I'm going there for? I don't want to get all into that right now.
You don't want to go Dave Siskel on me, right?
It's turning red.
I think we have
authenticity of the costumes and how screen accurate they are.
Yeah.
Make sure the stitching's correct.
I feel like too the thing about this show, there's no nudity in this
Alfie's
show.
Eating a hot dog.
There is no nudity in this show. Dan, I'm still waiting for you. You would buy a ticket without a thought, but I'm still waiting. Did he bring Mia? That's what I want to know.
I think he said yes. Yes, I did. It was a memory.
Anyways, okay.
So what does Alfie with hopes and dreams about the production? What does he want to see out of this? What's going to be the highlight for Alfie here?
Just the dancing, I think, maybe.
No, hey, Alfie, are you buying a VIP ticket for this to smell the seats?
Oh yeah,
stormtroopers.
I'm gonna put a cam in the dressing room.
Oh my god. Man.
Well,
there's some boundaries.
You know what they should have is a back to tank.
Well, they would have lawyers. Yeah, they should have a back to tank. They should have. They have everything. They got fire. They got music. They got
back to hot tub tank. How about that?
Yeah, hot tub tank. Hey, Ian Savage, did this?
Hey, but you know what, fellas? Family's here. I gotta have dinner, so I gotta peace out.
All right. Family time after all that.
I guess that's enough back to tank talk for him.
Ian Savage, did this production come from overseas? I have a feeling that it did not originate in the United States. I think it might have debuted in Australia, you say, yes?
Yeah, it was, let me see, his name, I am blanking, but yeah, they started in Australia. They did, basically, they would do like a once a month, or they would do a themed show, and I guess they did Star Wars. It sold out immediately. They just kept doing it from there, and then basically just started doing weeks of it and then taking it around Australia and then doing, I think, a one-off over here. I forget the city, but now it's finally returned.
Yeah, I know. I think right now it's in San Diego and it's in Chicago, so it's a very, very limited engagement. So, yeah. Antonio, I hate to say that this will not be coming to your neck of the woods anytime soon. Another excuse for you to get out to Chicago when you are not working. I know you're going to be working at C2E2 next weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing you there. How do you feel about coming to Chicago working C2E2? I'm a little disappointed with the lineup, but it's just another gig to you, yes?
Yeah, I mean, it's not another gig. Anytime you get to go to one of these shows, it's a lot of fun, right? Like,
yeah.
That I get to go there in some sort of business obligation to disguise the fact that I want to go there by myself, right? Like, how could you ever complain about that? But I will say, apparently, this strip show isn't around my birthday, which is May 24th as well. So
yeah, you.
Oh, what a coinkydinks.
Hey, speaking about birthdays, I want to give a shout out to another producer, Andy from Miami. Do we have the graphic, Tyler?
Nope, that's not him.
sorry.
Do we have the graphic for
Andy? Looks great.
Hey, ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Andy. Happy birthday to you. Now he's waiting for a burlesque slave lay dancer to jump out of a cake.
We let you die on the vine there. That was pretty great.
Hey, happy birthday, Andy. We missed you on the show tonight. I know you got a big weekend, but a shout out to you and thank you for your support.
So what would you get like a naked Twilight pop out of Jabba's stomach or something like that?
Yeah, hey, you know what? You should see the burlesque show they actually have is somebody inside the Jabba the Hutt that's operating that thing. They have a puppet Yoda, as we saw at the end of the trailer. It almost looks like he performs kind of like I
saw him playing drums.
I feel like there's more music in this than there leads on to be. Where's Jabba? Yes.
Okay. What is going on with Jabba the Hutt's eyes there?
Oh, he's ripping a bowl.
Yeah, you see, what do you think he's smoking in that hookah, man?
Like somewhat human. I mean, this guy's having a good time right now.
He's rocking the smoky spice there, brothers.
He is rocking the smoky spice. You can go back to the other graphic. We know what Andy looks like. Okay, yeah. So he guy wants to see more burlesque. And again, another reason for you guys to come out to Chicago, we can have an RFR, Machtails, and meetup and go to the Burlesque Empire Strips Back show together. Man, and I am not even getting paid by these guys. I actually invited one of them on the show, and hopefully I'll get one of these guys on the show. But let's talk about Mandalorian Season 3. A lot of people bitching and complaining about this. Let me get in my soapbox here and just get my 2 cents.
Complaining.
Yeah, a lot of people complaining that it's too slow. Okay, here's the thing. Everybody bitched and complained about Andor not feeling like Star Wars, that it was very, very slow paced. And of course, after that, we get the Mandalorian, which is nothing but oozing with Star Wars. And sure, there's some storytelling there. What's wrong with that? I think that's a vital part. George Lucas even said special effects are not what they are, not as important as they are without the power of storytelling. And that's exactly what The Mandalorian is doing. And now fans are bitching and complaining about that. Where do you guys stand on this? I am loving this. Even when I saw Pelly in episode 1 of season 3, I'm like, you know what? Okay, maybe I smoked the Pelly weed. I can appreciate her for what it's worth. Boonty Eve classic. It feels like the prequels. I love the prequels. Right from episode 1 of the 4 that we have seen, leading up to seeing Ahmed Best portray a Jedi during Order 66. Can you really get more prequel-y than that? I love this shit. How do you guys feel about it? Sean, this has got to be porn for you, Mr. Mandalorian. Why don't you start?
This is absolutely in my wheelhouse, and I'm eating it all up like just loving every second of it. And even the episode, with the doctor, everybody wants to jump on it, like, oh my god, it's that whole part was just as boring as Andor, and it stole away the episode from The Mandalorian. And there was even a meme that said how to watch that episode after they jump to hyperspace, fast forward until they jump back from hyperspace. It's like, you know what? Interesting about it, it's like everybody's going to get what they want out of them. I don't even know what today's Star Wars fans are even looking for anymore. Like, you mentioned Pelly. Is she my favorite character? No, but she's there, and she's not going away, so whatever.
Yeah, so like her or forget about it.
Right, the scene with the flashback and Ahmed Best. Oh my God, I'll just go ahead and admit and I'll say it. I shed a tear of joy for Ahmed Best as a person, as an actor, after all the shit he had to go through, to be redeemed in that scene right there was completely amazing. I loved it that he ends up being the one rescuing Grogu from Order 66. I that's just fantastic. Now I am curious about his tie to Naboo and his friend whose ship he borrowed to escape off in. So there's this, it just opened up a whole other story that I'm excited, that I want to know more about. And it's when every time we're dealing with the Mandalorians, it's been action. We're finally getting some space battles, some TIE fighter battles, which we've been missing a lot. A lot of people are missing that. Like, I sat down with my wife to catch up on the episodes that she didn't get to see. And what I found interesting, when the episode broke off and told the story of Dr. Pershing, she was completely captivated with that story and was actually disappointed when it went back to the Mandalorian. She wanted to know what else was going to happen with the Doctor after he's getting this mind flare going on. And I was like, oh, interesting. So it just proved to me that you don't know what part of Star Wars or what part of storytelling is going to grab somebody. But there's something there for everybody. So rather than going off on these tirades because it isn't what you wanted to see, just sit back, eat your popcorn, and enjoy the ride, man.
Amen to that, man. I do not understand why fans... look, I already lost one Patreon member for, saying if you don't like the new Star Wars, go fuck yourself. Only lost one. I actually gained one from that. Ian Tomash had joined because he was just, very excited about the passion that I had for all this new Star Wars stuff coming out. Tyler thinks I'm 6 months behind somehow, but I feel like I'm current at this point.
I'll just say one more thing. I'm not like saying that you have to love everything that is stamped with a Star Wars logo on it, because obviously there's been some misses, and the fandom being fractured the way it got is pretty much proof of that. But it's been going on for so long, and it's just exhausting sometimes to be a Star Wars fan.
I got to add to that, Sean. I'm not asking you to love everything. I'm not asking people to love everything, but I'm asking people to just not tear the shit
bitching about everything
out of thing and beat things to a bloody pulp. Because do you know how hard it is to do what they're doing? Do you know how hard it is to do a show like this, an independent show? There's so much work that goes into this, and no wonder why George was so disappointed with some of the fan reactions even before we got to this point, because he sank his heart and soul into it just to hear some negativity. And, the world is so full of negativity bullshit that why do we need to bring... I do not like it when negativity enters into my fanboy world, because this is what helps me deal with the negative shit in life. And this is what helps me, just continue to enjoy life as a fan. And when people start hating on shit, it gets... Sean, you're right. It gets exhausting.
It's exhausting because some people take it so far, like, to the point where, they go after like Jake Lloyd or Ahmed Best or, the girl that played Rose, to the point where they create they actually inflict psychological damage to these are still people that they're going after. Not just the characters that they don't like, but what they go after with such vitriol, not just the character, but the person. And that's just not right. By any stretch of the imagination, is in any form. And I guess the point I was trying to make, like when you were talking about just being a fan, the ones that take it to that level, it's that you either agree with me or I hate you, or you're wrong, and I'm going to keep yelling at you until you like everything that I like the way I like it. That's just a losing battle. You're never going to. Why would? It's like somebody said, life is short, so let's spend as much time as we can arguing with strangers on the internet.
Yeah, and brother Tyler Page said it best too. He said that he wants to cut down on just spending time in friend Facebook chats because life is too short. You don't want to spend even all your positive time on the internet. Antonio, where do you how do you feel about season 3? I don't want to compare season 3 to season 2 and season 1 because I believe that they are all telling the bigger part of the story. I don't want to compare. Corey D. Williams was just on Machtails from the Cantina podcast, and he said, I like the sequels. I like the prequels. I don't know how fans want to compare this and that. He's like, I just don't get it. He's like, I just love Star Wars. I feel the same way that he does. Antonio, how do you feel about season 3?
Well, I love it. But real quick, before we get into that, back in the day, there was once a letter writing campaign to Warner Brothers for casting the guy who was in, what was it, the Mom movie, Mr. Mom, as the new Batman. That guy was Michael Keaton. And now the whole marketing campaign around The Flash is Michael Keaton back as Batman, right? And we all look back as, that's like one of the best, versions of Batman.
That was when the internet got mad when there was no internet.
Exactly. It goes all the way back to Sherlock Holmes, right? When they first killed off Sherlock Holmes, he was Sir Arthur Conan Doyle had a letter campaign against him for that, and he was forced to bring him back. So sometimes I think we get wrapped up in it, and if we take a step back, it really doesn't matter, right? But that being said, Mando season 3, it's been awesome. How could you not like this? The fact that we're getting a post original trilogy show that has flashbacks to original, like the prequel trilogy, and you have Ahmed Best, like you have Mandos in different colors. Every time I see a different Mando, I think of Sean. Like, this is fantastic. This is porn, not your something about. This is porn that I want to see.
It's funny. Every time I watch The Mandalorian, I'm thinking that Sean's watching this right now and he's just jerking off all over the place.
Well, that's not what I'm thinking. I was just more like, whoa, in colorways. And I can imagine how Sean would, take these and do really cool things with it.
It's all inspiration for like my creative mind and whatever, but right there, let's talk about that right there.
Yeah, what happened to your brain when you saw this?
Oh my God. That is like, every Mandalorian season has had that oh fucking shit moment. And that was it. And it was episode freaking 2 for crying out loud. And it was just like I saw the horn and then I saw the eye, I'm like, no freak, oh my God. Yeah. So it's kind of, I felt like that Vince McMahon meme that they always like to show, where he's slowly getting more and more excited.
Yeah. And they did it appropriately too. You only seen a little bit of it. It still leaves the mystery out there, but you get the size and scale and somewhat what the thing is without throwing it in your face. It's awesome.
Well, I went back to that 2-second clip and kept watching it over and over and over again.
So good. Anyone who's complaining about this doesn't remember what it was like in 1994 with like Star Wars and like Dark Forces being your canon, PC video.
Yeah. Awesome. One of the things that always blows my mind continuously is when we see the Mandalorians with the jetpacks, with the weaponry, with the fire shooting out of the wrist. We did see a little bit of that with Jango, but to just see that done now with the technology that we have, Sean, I'm sure you remember the fan film where we actually saw Boba Fett fly for the first time. It was called The Dark Redemption.
Oh, yeah.
This film had lawsuits upon lawsuits upon lawsuits, and it was really one of the greatest fan films I've ever seen. You might be able to find it on YouTube, but probably not, but maybe. And just to see these guys in action. Sean, I know you're a bigger Mando fan than me, but this is kind of borderline pornography in a positive way.
Very much so. We keep going. We keep seeming to go heading back to this porn thing, but it's the Mandalorian visuals for somebody who's all about the Mandalorians, and before it was, I was all Mando and Fett before it was even a cool thing. Everybody liked Boba Fett, but he was always cool. But anybody that knows me and anybody here that knows me, I've been doing this Mando thing since 1978 when I saw the holiday special, and nobody believed me that it actually aired. And I was like, gotta see this guy, and then finally in The Empire Strikes Back. I mean, all those Mandos, seeing all the different fractions and, like you said, the arsenal that we're finally get to see in use, and it was kind of funny watching Grogu try out his first gauntlet, dark gauntlet. It was like it was almost like a weird episode of the Muppet Show with that, but I still enjoyed it. You know, I was like, okay, let's roll with this. You know.
Now, if I did have a complaint, let me ask you guys a question, and we could go down. You know, we can go down the list. We go down. I want to hear from all you guys. Has the Mandalorian become too cute? I think it has. Is there anything wrong with that? No, but when you watch the show with subtitles, and every time Grogu talks, it says he's cooing, there is an element of like, there's a baby. There's a baby here. How do you guys feel about it? It does not bother me, but I do feel like it's become a little cutesy. I would not complain about the pace of the show at all.
Like with anything that, you know, you're not exactly 100% a fan of, I've just come to accept it. When Mandalorian first started and Grogu first got introduced, that's all it was about. It was all about Baby Yoda, Baby Yoda, Baby Yoda. You could Google Mandalorian and you get 3 pages of Baby Yoda before you even see a Mando outfit. So I was a little aggravated about that. And then when he finally went off with Luke, I was like, okay, good. Back to the Mando story. And then they had to sabotage Boba Fett's show to show that he went back to Mando, which is fine, whatever. But I do feel the show definitely would be better if Grogu stayed in his Jedi path and Mando got to go do his Mando thing with his Mando boys and not have to constantly babysit. But that's not the show we're getting. So I just got to let it go and enjoy what's being put in front of me as best I can. I'm not going to love every minute of it, but I'm loving pretty much damn near most of it. And as far as I'm concerned, The Mandalorian is the only thing that's currently saving Star Wars as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, see, you just became that guy. You became saving Star Wars. No, Star Wars never died.
No, for me it never died. But there's a lot of people that were just going all in about how boring Andor was and how people hated Obi-Wan. I loved Obi-Wan. I don't know what people don't.
See, yeah, I was just talking to a friend of mine today. I think Kenobi is still my favorite show. Kenobi is like the Rogue One of TV shows for me. Kenobi was flawless.
You know, and I do believe that they kind of went the wrong direction with Boba Fett as a character, but that doesn't mean I didn't like the show. So it's like, that's why, you know, the voice of the negative fans gets so loud that the show's drowning it. You know,
yeah, I can see that. I can totally see that.
I don't understand the cute comment because there's been like monster after monster. We saw Mythosaur. We're seeing a lot of like combat in general. I can understand Baby Yoda being a little self-referential. Like he's like, oh, I'm doing the cute thing now. And like even when IG was attacking him and he was like, bad baby, Carl Weathers. Like I guess I can see it from that perspective, but it's not hitting me over the head, you know. I kind of like that aspect of it. It's like, oh yeah, Baby Yoda's doing the Baby Yoda thing, and then eventually he's gonna get to this point where he's just a total badass. How do you reach that? I don't know, but.
Well, yeah, you're right, Tyler. That's a good point because I think Grogu's always been the same. It's not like he's getting any cuter because it's season 3. He's the same character that he was in season 1 and season 2.
I see where you're coming from though. They are leaning into it sometimes.
I think because I'm watching it with the subtitles. I think that's what it is because every time he talks, it just says cooing, and I'm like,
yeah. My son used to make fun of me because that was basically the one thing I'd gripe about all the time was he sounded just like a baby from the beginning. That was always the thing. I'm like, couldn't we figure out some kind of other sound effect that other than this stock child? I'm surprised that kid's going to grow up. Whoever did those noises, cooing noises, is going to be on the celebrity circuit here in about 15 years.
Well, we've seen Ithorians with the voice like translator thing in Rebels, right? So
yeah,
I don't know why Baby Yoda doesn't have some sort of. He could have some sort of implant. He could hang out with the Boba Fett mod crew, and they could just.
He could have one of those things like in Up, Doug the dog, where.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to say the Mandalorian's become too cute. I think it's there is definitely a heavily cute element of it. But again, I think that comes to the subtitles.
General Kenobi.
The character Grogu has not changed. You know, is that Antonio? What do you are you Grogu? Is he too cute for you? Are you okay with him? I'm a fan of his, and I think you have a daughter. My daughter doesn't really necessarily engulf herself in Star Wars, but every time she sees Grogu, she's like, "Oh, he's so cute," or she'll be like, "Oh, so and so has, little Susie or little Timmy has Grogu shoes or Grogu backpack." So it's like he's in the elementary circuit.
Well, without that, all right. So I have a 3-year-old and a 9-year-old. My 3-year-old has plushies, right? Like stuffed toys of Baby Yoda. Calls it Baby Yola. Makes me very, very annoyed, but we deal with it, right? Just as long as he's into it. My daughter, again, same sort of thing, super cute. But I agree with Sean, like where the fact that the Mandalorian is definitely the flagship show. And so you're going to have all those elements that you see in Star Wars, right? Like famously, George Lucas said, "Dare to be cute" in Return of the Jedi. And, that ended up in Ewoks. And we've had our complaints about that ever since. But the idea is like, you've always had that. And you've always had that going even back to like Phantom Menace, right? Like the cuteness aspect of Jake Lloyd, like as a little young kid, like even Jar Jar, like what that was speaking to little kids versus us as like older fans. But it's just one of the elements. And yeah, sometimes his flips bother me, if I'm going to be honest. But I'm not going to really get into it because who cares,
Those were Attack of the Clone.
Yeah, exactly.
Flashback moments.
It's part of the language, and you learn to speak the language.
His walking bothers me.
Yes,
because it's just so unrealistic. Like, come on, it's not gonna.
My wife.
It's very Dark Crystal. If you ever watch Dark Crystal, it's like, hey,
there's no legs. It's a pivot, not a walk.
Yeah.
But here's the counterpart on that. But it's a puppet. It's not CGI. I feel like
that's what I'm saying. I love that element.
I think that to me that element is old school, and to see Grogu kind of walk like he's in the Dark Crystal from, what it was 1983, 1984. I think that's just that is a cool.
Are you telling me they couldn't find a 2-year-old to throw a mask on like Deep Roy in Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah.
No, because
I'll sign my 3-year-old up for it right now.
I don't know if it's going to necessarily work that well, Well, anyways,
I'll tell you one thing real quick. I've noticed, like, especially in that last episode, Mandalorian has done one thing. It's done a really great job at starting Star Wars trends or fads. Like in first season, I have spoken. The whole this is the way. It was just now a thing, very cultish, but it's a thing, And every iteration of Grogu has got to have a plush version, whether he's in the cradle, in the knapsack. Now we're going to get the version with the armor on the chest, and I promise you this, it's the next celebration. I guarantee you, every single member of the Mandalorian mercs are going to start applauding by clanking their gauntlets.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are they going to be that authentic, or are they going to be wearing their bowling shirts,
No, that's the final first.
No, but like Sean, I feel like you just nailed it, right? Like when I was talking about how I agreed with you about it being like the flagship or the thing that's saving Star Wars. I don't know I'd go that far, but I agree with you. Like
it's the wrong terminology, yeah.
Right? Like what other character out of Star Wars, of the new Star Wars, that has hit like Baby Yoda or Grogu or whatever you want to call it, where like everyone knows that character, even my mom knows that character, sort of idea, right? Like it's just really, I'm not surprised that they're going to lean into it, but it's the only thing that's like really resonated in that.
Well, it's introduced just the term Mandalorian to the casual Star Wars fan. Before then, it was always just a Fett, a Boba Fett. Oh, look, it's a Fett. Yeah, any person with that mask was Boba Fett. Just like, you go to a parade dressed as Boba Fett. Oh, look, a stormtrooper. That sort of thing. But yeah, it's made that term Mandalorian more known for what it actually is.
There we go, back to the Boba fetish. Well, hey guys, I want to thank you guys for. I want to thank you guys for chiming in on everything tonight. It's been a really, really great show. And I again, I could not do it without you guys. I could not do it without the producers such as Antonio from New Jersey, Ian Savage. The list goes on and on and on. And I always feel like I'm a little under pressure to remember all the producers by name, but it is just not realistic for me to remember all that stuff, especially when I'm hosting. Hey, Tyler Page, thank you. People can follow you on Machtails and RFR. You're on both.
Yeah, call in. Call into the after shows.
You call into the after shows and tell him that you heard Tyler on Machtails, and maybe he could bump you to the line. Maybe he could. Hey, Antonio, we will see you next weekend in Chicago. If people want to come and stop and say hello to you, where do they see you at C2E2? You got a booth?
No, I'll just be there by myself walking around.
You'll be there walking around. Maybe you will get noticed. Sean, Sean, can you expose what you're going to wear to C2E2?
Well, like I said, I'll be at C2E2. You can always follow the Adventures of the Mandalorian Mashup on Facebook and Instagram. But if you haven't had your picture yet with the Easter Bunny for Easter this year, you just might see the Easter boba walking around C2E2. So keep your eyes peeled.
Hey, and I do want to say that our next show is going to be on April 8th. We're going to be talking Easter, Star Wars Celebration Europe. Thank you to Tyler for that mindset there. And also Easter Bubba. Hopefully he's going to make an appearance on the show. Baby Belushi is going to stop by. Great show on 4/8. Not 4/20, but 4/8. Ian, I want to thank you. And people can follow you on Dan and Ian Ask. Dan and Ian Have Questions.
Yeah, that's my co-host there, Mr. Daniel, Mr. Boston Dan chiming in the comments. Dan and Ian Have Questions everywhere. Pretty much you can find it. Please search it. Send us an email at danandianpod@gmail.com. And we love to hear from you. And check out the catalog. We got some Star Wars stuff sprinkled in there. It always comes up.
Hey, Ian, I want to thank you for providing some fact and fiction for us tonight. I really do appreciate that. I know there is not enough time in the day. We need to have Boston Dan become a producer so you guys can take over Mocktails from the Cantina.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we do have a crossover episode, ladies and gentlemen. You can go find that. There's Chris. I think we did one crossover with you in the past. That was about a year ago.
Yes, you can find me on every street corner. As Jason and Jimmy had said, I like to just put the Star Wars rubber on and sleep with whoever's going to take me. But I do have my own show now, so it's a little bit more limited.
Star Wars toy in his back pocket at all times.
Yeah, and I'm a happily married man, so it's got to be just Star Wars related, promiscuous fanboy sex. Glenn Nelson. We're going to do this baseball style. Three strikes are out. Glenn Nelson, if you're tuning in live, which, Glenn, I know you never tune in live, but, man, you always write some good music for the show. We got to have you send us out. Robert Hines has got to send us in, and Glenn Nelson has got to send us out. Andre Wolf, you've been a patron for a long time at the 1138 level. And I know you never tune in live, but you always get us on the replay. And man, we got one more. Man, we do have some support in here. I still feel like I'm a little bit of a fish in a big sea, but we do have the support. Hey, Tyler, is your dad watching tonight?
My old man, Jeffrey. I don't know. Dad, if you're watching, text me.
Tyler, you're here, so I'll give your dad a prize. That counts. Hey, I want to thank all my guests. I want to thank Tyler Page for helping us out behind the scenes. And I want to thank all my Patreon supporters. We will catch you guys next time on Mocktails from the Cantina Live, which will be on April 8th. And remember, you can get overdosed with Mocktails content if you become a Patreon member for just $2 a day. So long, everybody.